Have you ever been in a conversation with a woman where she says one thing, but something in her tone, her eyes, or the way she lingers just a little longer tells a completely different story? What if I told you that when a woman is deeply attracted to you and is thinking about taking things to the next level, she won't say it outright? Instead, she'll say something else, a subtle, coded phrase, because society has taught her to avoid sounding too easy. But if you miss that signal, you might walk away from a moment that could have changed everything. Her language is careful, cloaked in nuance, and only the emotionally aware will hear the truth behind her words. In this video, we're peeling back the layers of what women really say when they're ready, but want to protect their image. Watch until the end, because understanding this could completely transform how you navigate chemistry, attraction, and intimacy. Like, comment, and subscribe. Your love life may never be the same after this. Point 1. The language of desire. Why she rarely says it directly. Have you ever sat across from someone, heart beating just a little faster, wondering if they feel what you feel, but the words never come? Maybe it was on a dimly lit evening, soft music playing, the world fading into the background. She was laughing, leaning in closer, her eyes holding yours a little longer than usual. You thought, is this something? Is she trying to tell me something? But instead of saying it, she just smiled and said, "It's getting late, but I'm not really tired yet." It wasn't a confession. It wasn't an invitation. But it wasn't nothing either. Why do women speak like this, so close to the truth but never naming it outright? Here's the thing. A woman might deeply want you. She might be replaying every moment in her head just like you are. But the fear of being judged, misunderstood, or labeled as too easy runs deep. She's walking a tightrope between desire and dignity, between wanting to be close and needing to protect her image. Can you recall a time when a woman said something that sounded simple, but felt like it meant more? Something like, "Do you want to come in for a drink?" Or, "You don't have to leave just yet." Did you know what she was really saying? Or did you walk away unsure, only to realize much later what you missed? The truth is, many women speak a secret language when it comes to intimacy. Not because they want to be mysterious, but because they're guarding something precious, their sense of self-worth, in a world quick to criticize. And maybe you felt it too. That hesitation to say what's in your heart, that fear of being vulnerable first. So ask yourself, have you ever read between the lines and felt something real echo back? Have you ever looked back and thought, she was trying to tell me without telling me? Because sometimes the most powerful truths aren't spoken loudly. They're whispered, hidden in soft smiles, lingering goodbyes, and the space between the words. And if you can learn to hear that language, you'll see desire in its truest, most human form. Point 2. Cultural conditioning. The fear of sounding too easy. Have you ever wondered why a woman, even when she clearly likes you, holds back at the last moment? Why she hesitates, chooses her words so carefully, and seems to dance around her true feelings, like she's afraid of being seen too clearly? It's not always about doubt. Often, it's about fear, the kind that's been planted in her since she was young. Let me take you back to a story that might feel familiar. A woman sits on the edge of her bed, texting someone she genuinely likes. She types, deletes, retypes. The message she wants to send is clear: "I want to see you tonight." But instead she settles for, "What are you up to later?" Why? Because since childhood, society has handed her invisible rules. Be desirable but not too forward. Be open but not too available. She's been taught directness is danger, that if she expresses desire too freely, she'll be labeled, misunderstood, or worse, discarded. Have you ever met a woman who acted distant even though her eyes were full of longing? Who played it cool, even though you could feel the heat between you? Have you ever walked away thinking she wasn't interested, only to find out later that she was just scared of giving too much too soon? The truth is, women often carry a silent burden, the pressure to manage how they're perceived by others, especially men. In a world where showing desire can lead to judgment, they become masters of subtlety. Hints replace honesty. Playfulness masks vulnerability. And maybe deep down you've sensed that. Maybe you've even respected it, admired how she carries herself, how she protects her own heart. But have you ever paused to consider what she might have said if the world hadn't taught her to fear her own feelings? This fear of sounding too easy isn't weakness. It's armor. And behind that armor is often someone who wants deeply, loves fully, and aches to be seen for who she really is. So next time she hesitates, ask yourself, not what she said, but what she meant. Because between the words is where her truth often lives. Point 3. Hidden signals in everyday conversations. Have you ever walked away from a conversation and later thought, wait, was she trying to tell me something? Maybe you were both laughing at something silly, lost in a moment that felt lighter than air. Maybe she tucked her hair behind her ear, leaned just a little closer, or asked you a question she already knew the answer to, just to keep you talking. You didn't think much of it then, but now it keeps playing in your mind like a quiet melody you can't shake. That's the thing about hidden signals. They don't come wrapped in neon signs. They slip in softly between words and pauses. In the subtle shifts of tone and gaze, a woman might not say, I want to be close to you, but she'll say, I just feel safe when I'm around you. She won't admit, I think about you at night. But she'll say, you're always in my head lately, it's annoying. And you'll laugh. She'll laugh. But part of you will wonder, was that really a joke? Why does she speak in this code? Because every day, conversations are her safest playground for expressing emotion without risking everything. She's reading the room, watching your eyes, testing the waters. If you react warmly, she might go a little deeper. If you pull back, she'll cover it up with a laugh or change the subject. Think back. Have you ever had a woman ask you if you're seeing anyone? Not out of curiosity, but with a subtle intensity behind her eyes? Have you caught her remembering the smallest detail about you? Something you barely remember saying? These are not accidents. They're quiet clues. And maybe the real question is, how many of these signals have you missed? Because she's not always going to say it out loud. Sometimes she's hoping you'll hear it anyway, that you'll see the invitation in her voice, the affection in her teasing, the hope in her silence. So listen closely, not just to what she says, but to what she chooses not to say out loud. Because in the gentle rhythm of everyday conversation, love often whispers before it speaks. Point 4. Top phrases women use when they're interested but guarded. Have you ever heard a woman say something that felt casual, but for some reason it stuck with you? Like it carried more weight than the words alone? Picture this, you're sitting together after dinner. She smiles, then says, I feel like I can be myself around you. Simple, right? But if you really think about it, what does that mean? It means comfort. It means connection. It means you've passed through the first wall she put up, and now she's letting you glimpse something real. When a woman is interested but still guarding her heart, she won't confess it directly. Instead, she drops phrases that seem safe but are actually loaded with emotion. She might say, I don't usually open up like this. You're different from other guys. You always know what to say. It's weird how much I trust you already. These phrases aren't just flattery. They're quiet admissions, coded expressions of attraction, wrapped in cautious language. Why cautious? Because she doesn't want to come on too strong. She doesn't want to be misread or worse, rejected. So she tests the waters with these emotionally vulnerable, but socially safe statements. Have you ever heard one of these and felt your heart skip? Did you realize in that moment, this isn't just friendship anymore? Maybe she said, you're trouble, with a smirk, but her eyes were soft, like she hoped you'd prove her right. Or maybe she said, you make me nervous, and then looked away, but her hand lingered near yours just a moment longer. These aren't throwaway lines. They're her way of telling you she feels something, without saying too much, too soon. So the next time a woman says something that makes your gut tighten, pause. Don't just hear her words, feel them. Because when she's interested, she might not say, I want you. But she will say, I don't know what it is about you. And in that moment, she's hoping you'll understand the rest without needing her to say another word. Point 5. Body language that contradicts her words. Have you ever been in a moment where her words said no, but everything else, her smile, her eyes, her presence, whispered maybe? There's something incredibly human about this contradiction. She might tell you, I'm not really looking for anything serious. But the way she leans in when you speak, the way her pupils dilate when you laugh, or how she lingers after saying goodbye, all of it feels like a different truth, a softer, unspoken one. Think back. Have you ever heard a woman say, we're just friends, while brushing your arm just a little too slowly? Or told you, I'm not ready to date, yet texts you goodnight every evening, just to feel a little closer before sleep? This isn't manipulation. It's conflict, the kind we all feel when our heart wants one thing, but our mind tells us to play it safe. Society has conditioned many women to guard their words, to avoid seeming too eager or vulnerable, so when desire begins to rise, it often finds its first escape through the body, not the mouth. Her gaze might drop to your lips. She might mirror your movements without realizing it. Her breath might catch in moments of silence. These are signals, fragile, fleeting, but deeply sincere, and if you aren't paying attention, you'll miss the part of her that's speaking louder than her voice ever could. Have you ever sat next to someone who said they weren't interested yet never moved away? Who said, "I don't want to complicate things," but always found a reason to be near you? We speak with our bodies when our words betray our fears. So when her words and her body don't quite match, don't dismiss it. Don't pressure. Just notice. Because in those contradictions, she may be telling you a deeper truth, one she's not ready to say out loud, but hopes you'll feel anyway. And when you do, she'll know she's safe. Safe to stop hiding, safe to finally let her words match what her heart's been trying to say all along. Point 6. Why emotional intelligence is your greatest asset. Have you ever been with someone who didn't say much, but somehow they just knew what you were feeling? Maybe it was the way they looked at you during a silent moment, or how they responded to something you didn't even realize you were revealing. That kind of connection, deep, effortless, intuitive, almost feels magical. But it isn't magic. It's emotional intelligence. And when it comes to understanding women, especially when they're guarding their true feelings, it's your most powerful asset. Because here's the truth. Women don't always tell you how they feel, not because they want to be confusing, but because they need to feel safe first. She might say, "I'm fine," when she's hurting. She might say, "I'm busy," when she's afraid of how deeply she feels. And if you take her words at face value without tuning into the emotion behind them, you'll miss her. Not just the moment, but her. Emotional intelligence is what allows you to hear what she's not saying. It's being able to pause before reacting, to ask, "Is this really what she means?" rather than jumping to conclusions. It's sensing the tremble in her voice when she says she's okay, noticing how she plays with her ring when something's on her mind, catching the hesitation in her smile. Have you ever had a moment where you simply listened, and she opened up in a way she never had before? That's the power of presence, of empathy, of emotional intuition. It's not about being smooth or strategic, it's about being aware, being the kind of man who can sit in silence without rushing to fill it, who can hold space when she's unraveling, who doesn't just want to get her but wants to understand her. And when you become that man, emotionally awake, grounded, attuned, she feels it. She trusts it, because she's not looking for someone who just hears her voice. She's longing for someone who understands her silences. And when you do, she'll stop speaking in code, because you'll already know the language of her heart. Point 7. How to respond without misreading the moment. Have you ever been in that delicate space when things feel charged, unspoken, full of possibility, but you're not sure if you should lean in or hold back? It's one of the most nerve-wracking moments a man can face. The warmth in her eyes, the closeness of her body, the soft, almost imperceptible shift in her energy. It all feels like a green light. But then she says something playful or vague or shy, and suddenly you're second-guessing everything. Is she flirting? Is she afraid? Am I reading this right? Or about to make a fool of myself? This is where emotional precision matters most. Responding without misreading the moment isn't about being clever. It's about being present. It's about slowing down enough to sense not just her words or even her body language, but the energy between you. You don't have to guess. You just have to feel. Maybe she says, "You're trouble," while biting her lip. You smile back, but instead of pushing, you tease gently. Watch her response. Give her space to invite you closer. Or maybe she pulls away slightly after laughing with you. That's not a rejection. It's a test of your sensitivity. Will you chase her, or will you stay steady, grounded, patient? Ask yourself, what would make her feel more seen right now? Playfulness, reassurance, or stillness? When you're truly attuned, you don't force a moment to happen. You invite it to unfold. You become the man who listens to silence, who responds to tone, who knows when to speak and when to let things breathe. And if you do misread the moment, own it with grace. A simple, "Hey, I didn't mean to overstep," and with a genuine smile can dissolve tension and build trust instantly. Because a woman will remember how you made her feel more than anything else. She'll remember whether you rushed or respected the rhythm between you. So next time you're in that space, the pause, The question, the almost, don't panic. Don't perform. Just stay connected. Because when you respond with presence instead of pressure, you don't just avoid mistakes. You become unforgettable. Point 8. The fine line between confidence and respect. Have you ever met a man who walked into a room and instantly commanded attention, not because he was loud or arrogant, but because he was centered, calm, sure of himself, the kind of man who doesn't chase approval, but earns respect without trying? That's confidence. But here's the twist: when it comes to women, especially in moments charged with attraction, confidence only works when it's grounded in respect. Without that, it turns quickly into something else: entitlement, pressure, even discomfort. You might be thinking, how do I walk that line? How do I express desire without crossing a boundary? Let's paint the picture. You're on a date. The chemistry is undeniable. She's laughing, leaning in, giving every sign that she's enjoying your presence. You feel the pull. You want to tell her how beautiful she looks, how much you're drawn to her. You want to close the space between you. But then in a subtle shift, she hesitates. Her energy dips just slightly. She breaks eye contact. This is your moment, not to assert yourself, but to listen deeply. Because true confidence doesn't push. It doesn't need to. It notices, it senses. It holds space. Respect says, I see your comfort matters more than my desire. Confidence says, and I'm strong enough to honor that. Have you ever been with someone who made you feel fully seen? Never rushed? Never pressured? Just safe? That's the magic of confidence with respect. That's the energy that makes a woman trust you, want you, choose you. So how do you master that line? You lead with intention, not impulse. You stay grounded in your self-worth, not her reaction. You remain curious, not controlling. You ask yourself in every moment, not can I have her, but can she trust me with her vulnerability? Because the most attractive man in the room isn't the one who takes what he wants. It's the one who knows what he wants and waits for her to want it too. That's the man she remembers. That's the man she respects. And more often than not, that's the man she desires. You know, in the end, so much of attraction, connection, and intimacy comes down to something far deeper than surface signals. It's not just about what's said, it's about what's felt. And throughout this video, we explored something most people overlook: the quiet language women speak when their hearts are guarded but open, when they want more but need to feel safe first. If there's one message I hope stays with you, it's this. The most powerful men aren't the ones who say all the right things, they're the ones who listen with their eyes, with their intuition, and with their hearts. They're the ones who understand that desire, wrapped in subtlety, isn't a game. It's trust waiting to be earned. So thank you truly for being here, for choosing to understand more, connect more, and grow into the kind of person who doesn't just chase intimacy, but creates it, respectfully and confidently. If this resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you'd tap the like button. It helps more people find this message. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing. We're building something meaningful here, a space where love, growth, and emotional intelligence matter. And hey, don't be a stranger. Share your thoughts, your stories, your questions in the comments. I read everyone, and I'd love to hear what moments spoke to you most. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time, stay grounded, stay real, and stay open.